Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are tackling a question that I know a lot of you are thinking about out there. How do we future-proof our income,
Yeah.
in this crazy digital world? Seems like things are changing so fast.
Yeah.
And for this deep dive, we're actually using an episode of the Future Forward podcast as our guide, and they pointed to 3 high-income skills that are set to explode by 2025. So get ready because we're going to dive into AI content creation, blockchain development, and VR design, all areas with massive projected growth. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is fascinating to see how these fields are moving beyond just, the hype and actually becoming, really essential parts of how we work and live online. I think no matter what you do now, understanding these trends can give you a real edge.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with AI content creation. I remember when AI was mostly about, funny memes, but now businesses are using it to create all sorts of content. I mean, it's kind of crazy how things have changed so quickly.
Right. And I think part of that is that, the demand for content is just exploding. Businesses need to create personalized stuff across so many platforms, and they need to do it quickly.
So how does AI actually help with that? I mean, it's not like robots are writing novels yet, are they?
Not quite novels, but tools like ChatGPT and MidJourney are already helping create everything from, blog posts to video scripts to social media posts. I mean, really a whole variety of content. These tools use AI to draft different kinds of content, and then humans come in to refine it and make sure it really hits the mark. And the Future Forward episode actually cited that the AI market is predicted to hit a whopping $190 billion by 2025.
Wow, that's huge. So how can someone listening actually tap into this AI opportunity?
Well, freelancing is a great way to start. You could offer your skills as an AI content strategist, scriptwriter, or even a social media manager who uses these tools.
Yeah, I've actually seen a bunch of those kinds of gigs popping up on sites like Upwork and Fiverr. There definitely seems to be some demand there.
Exactly. There's a real demand. And the income potential is impressive, Skilled AI content creators can earn between $80,000 and $150,000 per year, especially if they specialize in a specific industry. So there's definitely some money to be made there.
Yeah, for sure. So say someone is totally new to AI content creation. Where should they even begin?
Taking a course on AI tools would be a great first step. Platforms like Coursera have some really good options to get you up to speed.
Awesome. All right, so AI content creation, a rapidly growing field with a lot of potential. Now let's shift gears to blockchain and Web3 development. I know there's way more to this than just Bitcoin, but it can feel a bit intimidating to understand.
Definitely Web3 is essentially about rebuilding the internet with a focus on decentralization. Instead of power being concentrated in big companies, it's spread out among users. And we're seeing this play out in finance, gaming, and even voting systems.
So in this Web3 world, what skills are companies desperately looking for?
They need developers who can build the foundations of this new internet. That means creating smart contracts, NFTs, and what are called dApps, decentralized applications. And from that Future Forward podcast, they actually predicted that the blockchain market will reach $100 billion by 2025.
Wow, that's another massive opportunity. For those of us who aren't coding experts, how can we even get started in blockchain development?
Learning Solidity would be a great starting point. It's the language used for Ethereum, one of the most popular blockchain platforms. Or you could look into smart contract auditing, which is like being a code detective, making sure there aren't any security flaws. And you don't necessarily need to be a master coder for that.
So you're saying you don't have to be like a hardcore programmer to get involved. That's encouraging. What about specific resources for beginners?
Platforms like Coursera offer certifications in blockchain tech. Another great way to learn is to just jump in and build something, even a simple crypto project, just get a feel for how it all works.
I love that idea, learning by doing. What about the earning potential for blockchain developers? Is it as impressive as AI content creation?
The demand for blockchain developers is so high that salaries range from $120,000 to $200,000 per year. And a lot of these jobs are remote, so you can work from anywhere.
We even saw that some freelancers are charging over $100 per hour for their blockchain expertise.
Yeah.
So there's definitely money to be made. Okay, so we've talked about AI and blockchain. Now let's jump into our third high-income skill, VR and AR designed for the metaverse. This one might sound a little sci-fi, but the metaverse is quickly becoming a real, profitable industry.
It is. The metaverse is basically a network of 3D digital spaces where people can interact, attend events, play game shop, and even work. It's still early, but companies like Meta, formerly Facebook, Microsoft, and Google, are investing heavily in it. And again, that Future Forward podcast cited a projection that the metaverse will be a $100 billion industry by 2025.
Okay, so for those of us who are still wrapping our heads around the concept, what exactly does VR and AR design have to do with the metaverse?
VR and AR designers are the architects of these digital worlds. They build the environments, the avatars, the interactive objects, everything that makes these spaces immersive. We're already seeing a demand for them to create virtual stores, events, and training simulations for businesses.
It's like designing a video game, but for real life.
Yeah.
So someone listening who's thinking, hey, I'm creative, this sounds cool, where should they start?
Tools like Unity and Blender are essential for VR and AR design. Taking a course on one of those would be a fantastic first step. There are a ton of options online on platforms like Udemy.
Okay, so learn the tools, and then what?
Once you've got the basics down, you could start freelancing or even look for entry-level positions at startups that are building metaverse experiences.
So there are actual jobs out there for this.
Absolutely. The Future Forward podcast mentioned that VR and AR designers can earn between $90,000 and $160,000 a year. Even part-time designers are making a decent income, so it's a field where you can have some flexibility.
And I have to say, building digital worlds for a living sounds pretty awesome. Okay, so we've explored 3 pretty amazing skills that are on track to be highly sought after in the next few years. I don't know about you all listening, but I'm feeling pretty inspired.
It is exciting to see how technology is creating so many new opportunities. And what's really cool is that it's never too late to learn. These fields may seem complex, but there are plenty of resources out there to get you started regardless of your background.
I love that message. It's all about embracing the learning process. But we've thrown a lot of information at you today. Before we move on, I want to pause and ask which of these skills sparked the most interest for you. We'll be back in a bit to dive deeper into each of them.
It's great to see so much interest in these future-proof skills. As we delve deeper, it's important to remember that technology is always evolving. What's hot today might be old news tomorrow.
That's a great point. It can feel overwhelming to try to keep up with all the latest trends. Any advice for our listeners who might be feeling a bit overwhelmed by the pace of change?
It's totally understandable to feel that way. The key is to focus on developing a mindset of continuous learning. Embrace your curiosity, and don't be afraid to experiment with new tools and technologies, even if you don't consider yourself an expert. The more you expose yourself to different ideas, the better prepared you'll be to adapt to whatever the future throws at you.
So it's not just about mastering a specific skill set. It's about developing a learning mindset that helps you constantly adapt and grow.
Exactly. That's where the idea of T-shaped skills comes in. It's about having deep expertise in one particular area represented by the vertical line of the T, but also having a broader understanding of related fields represented by the horizontal line.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So for instance, if you're an AI content creator, you might specialize in writing marketing copy, but you also have a basic grasp of SEO, social media marketing, and data analytics.
Right. This broader understanding allows you to connect the dots, see the bigger picture, and collaborate effectively with others. It makes you a more valuable asset in any field.
And probably a more well-rounded and interesting person, too.
Absolutely. Learning keeps us engaged, challenges our assumptions, and helps us grow as individuals. It's a lifelong journey, not a destination.
So for those listening who are feeling inspired to explore these high-income skills, remember, it's not just about the money. It's about embracing the joy of learning, expanding your horizons, and contributing to the ever-changing digital world.
And you never know. You might uncover hidden talents and passions you never knew you had. The learning process itself can be just as rewarding as the end goal.
Speaking of end goals, a lot of people are drawn to these skills because of the high earning potential. We've talked about some impressive salary figures, but is there a downside to focusing solely on a high-paying career?
That's a great question and one that deserves careful consideration. While financial security is essential, it shouldn't be the only factor driving your career choices. If you chase a high salary without genuine interest or passion for the field, you might end up feeling unfulfilled or even burned out in the long run.
It's like that saying, do what you love and the money will follow. But realistically, not everyone can turn their passion into a 6-figure income.
True, but there's often a middle ground. Maybe you can find a way to incorporate your interests into your current career, even if it's just a side project. Or you could volunteer your skills to a cause you care about. It's about finding a balance between financial stability and personal fulfillment.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your skills, interests, and values all align. And sometimes that takes a bit of experimentation and exploration.
Absolutely. And it's okay to change course along the way. Your career path doesn't have to be a straight line. In fact, embracing detours and unexpected turns can often lead to the most interesting and rewarding experiences.
That's a great point. Life is full of surprises, and our careers are no exception. So to those listening who are feeling a little lost or unsure about their career path, don't be afraid to try new things. Step outside your comfort zone and see where life takes you.
And remember, it's never too late to learn and grow. The digital world is constantly evolving, meaning there will always be new opportunities to explore. Embrace the journey, stay curious, and never stop learning.
I love that. And speaking of learning, let's shift gears a bit and talk about specific resources and tools available to help people develop these high-income skills. We've mentioned platforms like Coursera and Udemy, but what other options might be helpful for our listeners?
There's a wealth of resources out there, both free and paid. Beyond those online learning platforms, there are coding boot camps, workshops, conferences, and even online communities where you can connect with other learners and get support and guidance.
That community aspect is so important, isn't it? It's much easier to stay motivated and engaged when you're surrounded by people on a similar journey.
For sure. Finding a mentor or someone already successful in your field of interest can be incredibly valuable. They can offer insights, advice, and connections that can speed up your learning and career growth.
Mentorship is such a powerful tool. It's like having a guide on your journey who can help you navigate the challenges and celebrate the wins.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of networking. Attending industry events, joining online communities, and even just reaching out to people on LinkedIn can open doors to unexpected opportunities.
It's all about putting yourself out there, building relationships, and letting people know about your passions.
And remember, networking isn't just about asking for favors. It's about forming genuine connections, sharing knowledge, and supporting each other.
It's about building a community of like-minded people who can help each other grow and succeed.
Exactly. As you build your network, don't be afraid to share your work. Ask for feedback and celebrate your progress.
Sharing your work can be scary, but it's also a fantastic way to learn and improve. And celebrating your successes, big or small, is so important for staying motivated and building momentum.
Absolutely. Every step forward is a win worth celebrating. And remember, learning and growth are a marathon, not a sprint. Be patient with yourself, embrace the challenges, and enjoy the ride.
Love that analogy. It reminds us to focus on the process, not just the outcome, and to celebrate every milestone along the way.
Exactly. As you embark on this journey of learning and skill development, remember, you're not alone. There are countless resources, communities, and individuals ready to support you every step of the way.
So to everyone listening, if you're feeling inspired to dive into AI content creation, blockchain development, or VRR design, take that first step, reach out for support, and embrace the amazing possibilities that lie ahead.
And remember, the future belongs to those who are willing to learn, adapt, and create.
Okay, we've talked about high-income skills, the importance of continuous learning, the power of community, and the resources that are out there. But let's get a bit more specific and delve into each of these skills in more detail.
Great idea. Let's break them down one by one and explore the specific tools, techniques, and career paths associated with each skill.
Sounds good to me. Let's start with AI content creation. We've already touched on tools like ChatGPT and MidJourney, but can you give us more insight into how these tools are being used in the real world? What are some practical examples of AI-powered content creation?
Sure. One of the most common applications of AI in content creation is generating marketing copy. Tools like Jasper and Copy.ai can help you write product descriptions, website content, social media posts, and even email campaigns. They can analyze data about your target audience and generate text that's tailored to their interests and preferences.
So it's not just about churning out generic content. It's about using AI to create personalized and targeted messaging that actually resonates with specific audiences.
Exactly. That's where the real power of AI lies. It can help you scale your content creation efforts and reach a wider audience without sacrificing quality or relevance. We're also seeing AI being used to generate video scripts, create music, and even design websites and logos.
It's amazing to think about all the creative possibilities that are opening up with AI. It's like having a collaborative partner who can brainstorm ideas, generate content, and help you bring your vision to life.
And the best part is that these tools are becoming more accessible. Many of them offer free trials or freemium plans so you can experiment and see what works for you without a big financial investment up front.
That's fantastic news for aspiring content creators who might not have a lot of resources to get started. It lowers the barrier to entry and makes it possible for anyone with a creative spark to explore the possibilities of AI.
And as these tools keep evolving, we can expect to see even more innovative applications emerge. The line between human creativity and AI-generated content is becoming increasingly blurred, which brings up some interesting questions about the future of work and the role of human creativity.
That's a fascinating topic to explore. But for now, let's move on to our next high-income skill, blockchain and Web3 development. We've talked about the need for developers to build smart contracts, create NFTs, and develop decentralized applications. Can you give us a bit more insight into what those terms actually mean and how they're being used in practice?
Of course. Let's start with smart contracts. These are essentially self-executing contracts that are stored and enforced on a blockchain network. They can automate complex transactions and agreements without needing intermediaries like lawyers or banks.
So instead of relying on traditional institutions to enforce contracts, we can use code to create agreements that are transparent, secure, and tamper-proof.
Exactly. This has huge implications for industries like finance, supply chain management, and even real estate. For instance, imagine using a smart contract to automate the process of buying or selling a house. All the necessary steps from verifying ownership to transferring funds could be handled automatically and securely on the blockchain.
That sounds incredibly efficient. And it could potentially eliminate a lot of the paperwork and bureaucracy that often slows these kinds of transactions down.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. These are unique digital assets that represent ownership of something, whether it's a piece of digital art, a virtual collectible, or even a physical object.
So it's like having a digital certificate of authenticity that proves you own something unique and valuable.
Precisely, NFTs are revolutionizing how we think about ownership and value in the digital world. They're creating new opportunities for artists, musicians, and other creators to monetize their work and connect directly with their fans.
I've seen a lot of hype around NFTs, especially in the art world. But it sounds like the applications go far beyond just digital art.
Absolutely. NFTs can be used to represent anything that has value and can be digitally tracked. We're seeing them used for event tickets, loyalty programs, and even identity verification.
Yeah.
The possibilities are really endless.
It's incredible to see how this technology is changing how we think about ownership value and the very nature of digital assets.
And we're still in the early stages. The NFT space is evolving quickly with new applications and use cases popping up all the time. If you're interested in this field, now is a great time to jump in.
Okay, we've covered smart contracts and NFTs. Now let's talk about decentralized applications, or DApps. What are they and how are they different from traditional apps?
Decentralized applications are basically apps that run on a blockchain network instead of a centralized server. This makes them more secure, transparent, and resistant to censorship. They're also more user-centric, giving users more control over their data and online experiences.
So instead of relying on a single company to host and control our data, we can use blockchain technology to create applications owned and operated by the community.
Exactly. This is a fundamental shift in how we think about the internet. It's about moving away from the centralized corporate-controlled model and toward a more decentralized, user-empowered internet.
That sounds like a vision of the internet that's more in line with its original principles of openness, accessibility, and freedom.
Absolutely. And dApps are at the forefront of this movement. We're seeing them being used for everything from social networking and messaging to gaming and finance.
It's exciting to see how this technology is empowering individuals and communities to create their own online spaces and experiences.
And as the blockchain ecosystem continues to mature, we can expect to see even more innovative and impactful dApps emerge.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with blockchain and Web3 development. We've talked about smart contracts, NFTs, and dApps, and it's clear that this is a field with massive potential. But for someone just starting out, it can feel a bit daunting. Where would you recommend they begin their journey?
That's a great question. The best place to start is by learning the fundamentals of blockchain technology. There are tons of free resources online, including articles, videos, and even interactive courses.
So you're saying you don't need to be a coding whiz to start learning about blockchain?
Not at all. The beauty of blockchain is that it's a relatively accessible technology. You can start by just reading about the concepts and understanding how it works. Once you have a basic understanding, you can start exploring the different applications and use cases.
And as you become more familiar with the space, you can start to identify areas that particularly interest you and then focus your learning efforts accordingly.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. There are tons of open source projects and communities where you can get involved and start building your own dApps or even contribute to existing projects.
It's all about diving in, getting your hands dirty, and learning by doing.
Absolutely. And remember, the blockchain community is incredibly welcoming and supportive. There are tons of online forums, chat groups, and even in-person meetups where you can connect with other enthusiasts and learn from their experiences.
It's amazing to see how this technology is bringing people together and fostering a spirit of collaboration and innovation.
And as the blockchain ecosystem continues to grow, the demand for skilled developers, designers, and entrepreneurs will only increase. So if you're looking for a field that's both challenging and rewarding, blockchain is definitely worth considering.
We've covered AI, content creation, and blockchain development, both incredibly exciting and potentially lucrative fields. Now let's move on to our third and final high-income skill, VR and AR, designed for the metaverse. This one might feel a bit more futuristic, but the metaverse is rapidly becoming a very real and very lucrative industry.
You're absolutely right. The metaverse is no longer just a concept from science fiction novels. It's becoming a tangible reality. And the numbers speak for themselves. The Future Forward podcast highlighted that the metaverse is projected to be a $100 billion industry by 2025. That's an incredible amount of growth in just a few short years.
It seems like everyone's talking about the metaverse these days, but can you explain what it actually is for those listening who might not be familiar with the term?
The metaverse is essentially a network of interconnected, immersive digital spaces. Think of it as a kind of 3D internet where you can interact with other people, attend events, play games, shop for virtual goods, and even work. It's still early days, but the potential is enormous. We're seeing major companies like Meta, formerly Facebook, Microsoft, and Google, investing heavily in the metaverse.
So in this emerging metaverse landscape, what role does VR and AR design play? Where do the opportunities lie?
Well, the metaverse is all about creating immersive experiences, and that's where VR and AR designers come in. They're the ones who build these digital worlds, designing everything from virtual environments and avatars to interactive objects and experiences. We're already seeing a growing demand for VR and AR designers to create virtual stores, events, and even training simulations for businesses.
Okay, now you're really painting a picture for me. I can imagine designing a virtual concert experience where you feel like you're right there in the crowd, or creating an AR app for a retail store that lets customers try on clothes virtually. The possibilities seem endless.
Exactly. And as more and more companies jump on the metaverse bandwagon, the demand for skilled VR and AR designers is only going to increase. Tools like Unity and Blender are essential for creating these immersive experiences, so those are great places to start if you're interested in this field.
So for someone just starting out, what would be a good first step toward becoming a VR or AR designer?
Taking a course on Unity or Blender is a fantastic way to learn the ropes. There are tons of online courses available on platforms like Udemy. Once you have a basic understanding of these tools, you can start freelancing or even look for entry-level positions at startups that are building metaverse experiences.
It sounds like there's a real opportunity to get in on the ground floor here and grow along with this industry.
Absolutely. And the earning potential is definitely there. The Future Forward podcast mentioned that VR and AR designers can earn salaries ranging from $90,000 to $160,000 per year. And even part-time designers are earning a substantial income. So it's a field where you can really set your own hours and work at your own pace.
And I have to say, building digital worlds for a living sounds pretty fun. It's like being an architect for the imagination.
It definitely has that appeal. And for those who are creatively inclined and love pushing the boundaries of technology, this is a field that offers a lot of creative freedom and the chance to really make your mark.
Okay, so we've explored these three incredibly exciting and high-income skills for the future: AI, content creation, blockchain development, and VRR design for the metaverse.
I don't know about you listening, but I'm feeling pretty inspired right now.
It is amazing to see how technology is evolving and creating so many new opportunities. And the key takeaway here is that it's never too late to learn and adapt. These fields might seem complex, but there are tons of resources available to help you get started no matter your background or experience level.
I love that message. So if you're feeling motivated to explore these opportunities, where would you suggest they start? What would be the most important first step? I think the most important thing is to choose the skill that most resonates with your interests and passions. Don't just chase the money. Find something that genuinely excites you, because that's where you'll find the motivation to learn and excel. Once you've identified your area of interest, take some time to research available resources, courses, and communities. Connect with other people who are learning and working in these fields. And remember, even small steps can lead to big results.
That's great advice. Start small, stay curious, and don't be afraid to experiment. You never know where your journey might lead you. All right, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the future of work, the power of technology, and the potential to create a fulfilling and financially rewarding career in these emerging fields. But before we wrap up, we want to leave you with a question to ponder. Which of these future-proof skills sparks the most curiosity and potential for you?
It's a question worth thinking about. The future is full of possibilities, and the skills you choose to develop today can shape the path you take tomorrow.
So take some time to reflect on your interests, your strengths, and your aspirations. And remember, the best time to start building your future is always now. But that's going to do it for this part of our deep dive. We'll be back soon to wrap things up. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into future-proofing your income. We've covered a lot of ground, but I think there's one more crucial aspect we need to touch on before we wrap up.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about the skills themselves and the incredible opportunities they present, but we haven't really addressed the broader impact these technologies can have, on society as a whole.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of learning new skills and potentially earning a great income. But we also need to consider the ethical implications and how these advancements can shape society as a whole. It's not just about us as individuals.
Exactly. Take AI content creation, for example. There's a real opportunity to use these tools to make information more accessible globally, regardless of language or literacy level. So it's really breaking down those barriers.
I see what you mean. Could you give us a specific example of how that might work in practice?
Absolutely. Imagine using AI to translate educational materials into multiple languages or create personalized learning experiences for students with different learning styles. That could really revolutionize education, making it more equitable and inclusive for everyone.
That's a fantastic application. And it's not just limited to education, right? What about in areas like healthcare or even government services? I mean, the possibilities seem pretty vast.
Precisely, AI could help bridge communication gaps and ensure everyone has equal access to vital information and services. It could really level the playing field.
That's really inspiring. And what about blockchain? We've talked about its potential in finance and gaming, but are there ways it can be used for social good as well, beyond just making money?
Definitely. We're already seeing projects using blockchain to promote financial inclusion, empower marginalized communities, and even combat climate change. It's really quite remarkable.
Could you elaborate on that a little? Those sound like some pretty big challenges to tackle with technology.
Of course, blockchain's inherent transparency and security make it ideal for tracking donations and ensuring funds are used effectively. This can be incredibly powerful for nonprofit organizations and aid efforts because it helps build trust.
That makes sense. It eliminates a lot of the mistrust and potential for corruption that can sometimes plague traditional charitable organizations. So it's about using technology to increase accountability.
Exactly. And in terms of climate change, blockchain can help create more sustainable and transparent supply chains, allowing consumers to make informed choices about the products they buy and really understand the impact of their decisions.
It's fascinating to see how this technology can be used to address real-world problems and make a positive difference. It's not just about the hype.
It's important to remember that technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It's up to us as individuals and as a society to ensure these advancements are used ethically and responsibly. We have to guide the development.
I completely agree. And it's not just about developers or tech companies. We all have a responsibility to stay informed, ask critical questions, and hold those in power accountable. It's about shaping the future we want to see.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of the potential impacts, both positive and negative, and working collectively to shape a future where technology benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Well said. And this brings us back to those 3 high-income skills we've been discussing. It's not just about personal gain, but about using these skills to contribute to something bigger than ourselves, to make a real difference in the world.
Absolutely. Whether you're creating engaging content, building decentralized applications, or designing immersive virtual worlds, there's an opportunity to make a positive impact, to use your skills for good.
So to those of you listening who are excited about these fields and eager to learn, remember the future is yours to create. Choose a path that aligns with your passions. Use your skills for good, and never stop learning. And never be afraid to ask questions.
And above all, enjoy the journey. It's an incredible time to be alive, and the possibilities are truly limitless. So go out there and make your mark.
That's a fantastic note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and empowering.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep creating a future we can all be proud of.